All right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. It's January 8th, 2025, and it's about 6:20 p.m. Coming on live to read some news stories. Forgive the sound in the background. Getting my feet done. Ooh, do my feet look ashy. Look like every time I step, chalk come out, man. I am not moisturized at all. Getting a pedicure done, man. I encourage all men to get a pedicure. I encourage y'all all to get wives, man. Get married, man. Get married. It's the best thing you could ever do for yourself. Ain't that right, boo?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Get married and treat your wives right, because the best of you are the best to your wives. Amen. Amen. All right. So forgive the sound in the back. She's really going all in, like ham, on my toes right now. Like, this is not a game. It's not the game. She got the little mask on, too, because that's how much dust I got on my feet, my ashy feet, man.
Wow.
She really be getting me, man. It's crazy.
Food porn? No. Foot porn.
Foot porn. I'm going to start my OnlyFans up, man. But speaking of porn, speaking of sick sexual acts, let's talk about this guy here, man. Y'all know who this is? Sam Altman-Fried. This is the guy who created, basically, ChatGPT. Guess what he's accused of? Sister of OpenAI boss accuses tech billionaire of childhood sexual abuse. Now, I just heard this story today, and I'm not shocked actually to find out or to hear the accusation against Sam Altman-Fried is actually maybe out there that he abused his sister, man. Because I'm kind of like wary of all of these tech guys. A lot of them seem freaky. I mean, Elon got like 12 kids. He's throwing condoms out the window, hoping it hits a random woman. So, Sam Altman-Fried molesting his sister, not out of the realm of possibilities. But let's read the story right here. So, the head of ChatGPT creator, OpenAI, has responded to accusations from his sister that he sexually abused her when she was a child. Ann Altman, whose brother Sam Altman co-founded OpenAI in 2015, filed a lawsuit on January 6 in a U.S. district court in the Eastern District of Missouri, accusing the tech billionaire of regular sexual abuse between 1997 and 2006. Ain't that wild? Absolutely disgusting, man, to abuse your own sister. Man, I'll never forget. I read this Indonesian book way back in the day. I forgot the name, but in the story, like, brother ends up like raping his own sister. And like, I think that's only something that we'll see in the mayonnaise community. I don't know, Acti, am I being wrong for talking about that?
We have a lot of those abuses in Turkey as well.
Really? Brothers abusing
Most
sisters?
common ones are father, grandma, and brothers.
Really?
And uncles.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's unfortunate. All right. So the lawsuit alleges that the abuse began when Ann Altman was 3 and Mr. Altman was 12, and also includes an allegation of rape, with the filing alleging the last instance of abuse took place when Altman was an adult but was still a child. Wow. So he was abusing his sister for good near a portion of her early, from when she was 3 to 12, and he was an adult. And he's like, that's sick, man. So Mr. Altman is one of the tech sector's most prominent figures, having overseen the rise of OpenAI up to and since its launch of ChatGPT in late 2022, which sparked the ongoing boom around the generative AI technology that powers ChatGPT. In a joint statement posted to his account on X with his mother and 2 brothers, the OpenAI boss denied the allegations. All of these claims are utterly untrue, the statement said. Our family loves Ann and is very concerned about her well-being. Caring for a family member who faces mental health challenges is incredibly difficult. It added, Ann has made deeply hurtful and entirely untrue claims about our family, and especially Sam. This situation causes immense pain to our entire family. I have to ask you, Acti, because you're a psychologist, I have to ask you this. If somebody is sexually abused as a child, right, couldn't that cause mental health problems for that person?
Yeah, of course, because when you're sexually abused as a child, your development sexually and mentally is like pausing, and it's getting interrupted. So yeah, you're not able to like experience those naturally, and you experience those when you're much younger. So, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely obvious. And I think it's kind of sad that the family would gaslight their own daughter, right, to protect the cash cow, which is Sam. The older brother made good. The older brother is now a billionaire. Let's protect him. Oh, and yeah, Who cares about her abuse? Let's continue here. So, Anne says this: I experienced sexual, physical, emotional, verbal, financial, and technological abuse from my biological siblings, mostly Sam Altman and some from Jack Altman. She wrote in a post to Twitter, now X, in November 2021. I feel strongly that others have also been abused by these perpetrators. I'm seeking people to join me in pursuing legal justice, safety for others in the future, and group healing. Miss Lawyers claim she has experienced mental health issues as a result of the alleged abuse. The lawsuit requests a jury trial and damages in excess of $75,000. Mr. Altman faces other lawsuits, including one from fellow OpenAI co-founder Elon Musk, who alleges that the AI boss is in breach of contract for abandoning the company's original nonprofit mission. So Sam Altman-Fried also posted on Twitter his response to this and his denial of the allegations. But even though everything is alleged, I'm inclined to believe it. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. Continuing on, next story, major story right now, what we know about the wildfires raging in Southern California. The fast-moving fires are intensifying because of fierce winds, the strongest in Southern California in more than a decade. It's so crazy that, the climate change that's happening all around the world is affecting the places that really care about climate change, because California tends to vote blue all the time. The blue team seems to be the only one that cares about the earth getting hotter and stuff like that. And it's crazy that in January, right? Because I'm pretty sure in January in California, the weather is not that hot, that there's wildfires raging, showing that 2025 is going to be a hot year. 2024 was the hottest year on record. We're about to top that record this year, starting with wildfires in California in January, man. In January. So, Acti, do they have wildfires all the time in Turkey?
Yeah, I think for the past 5 years or so, we've had fires in different places in Turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
All the time?
Yeah. You remember one in my hometown, Marnos, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fast-moving fires on Tuesday forced more than 30,000 people in the Los Angeles area to evacuate their homes as the skies turned red and fierce winds rocked down trees and power lines. The windstorm was expected to bring even more destruction overnight and into Wednesday. The two large fires, one in the Pacific Palisades. Who made up that name? They're trying to get me tongue twisted. And the other in the mountains above Pasadena were not at all contained as of Tuesday night, and the winds were forecast to reach as high as 100 miles per hour, the strongest Southern California has experienced in more than a decade. Here's the latest on the blaze. Where are the fires burning? The fires were burning on opposite sides of the Los Angeles area. To the west, the Palisades fire had burned more than 2,900 acres in the Pacific Palisades, a coastal neighborhood west of downtown Los Angeles. The fire had spread quickly throughout Tuesday. In the afternoon, the fire more than doubled in size in a matter of about 3 hours. 3 hours, man. 3 hours. All of this city is like, the sky is red. How is this happening, man? The world is coming to an end. The world is coming to an end, man. Absolutely crazy. In January, what is going to happen in California for the rest of the year? Who is going to protect all the Tinashes in Pasadena? Who is going to protect Tinashe? Who will save Tinashe? I care about Tinashe. To the east. To the east, another fire began in the evening in Eaton Canyon in the San Gabriel Mountains above Altadena. The blaze, which was being called the Eaton Fire, had consumed 1,000 acres by that night. And to the north, the Hearst Fire quickly grew to 100 acres and forced evacuations in Silmar, a suburb in the San Fernando Valley, northwest of downtown Los Angeles. So, how many homes have been destroyed? Kristen M. Crowley, fire chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, said on Tuesday afternoon that multiple structures had been damaged in Pacific Palisades, but it was unclear exactly how many homes or buildings had been damaged from either fire. In the area of the Palisades fire, officials said that more than 10,000 households and more than 13,000 structures were under threat. I wonder now, can I just say this? I don't know if this is callous for me to say right now, but California has some of the worst housing issues in the nation. Not only is it an overpopulated state with like 40 million people, but they also don't want to build high density housing. So I got to say this. I don't know if this is too soon for me to say, but can we like rezone these areas for high density housing instead of these sprawling suburbs and mass ranch homes? Can we finally build affordable housing in California? Now that God every year continues to hate the NIMBYs. God shows California every year he hates the NIMBYs. And for people that don't know what NIMBY is, it means not in my backyard. The reason why they don't have apartment buildings on every block in California where people are paying only $1,000 for rent is because people who live in those large homes say, we don't want multi-storied, high-density housing in our neighborhood. It brings crime, it brings drugs, and some of the people, I assume, are good. God every year burns down these homes. Can we finally build some high density housing in California? Now that God continues to get rid of the homes. I'm sorry for ranting. I'm sorry. So I'm going to continue here. At least 550 homes were threatened by the Eaton fire, said Lisa Derderian, a Pasadena spokeswoman. Why did these big fires break out at the same time? Forecasters this week had warned of damaging wind gusts that would reach 50 to 80 miles per hour and above 100 miles per hour in the mountains. The winds, combined with dry air, have created a critical fire weather event in Southern California. The hills are also covered in vegetation after 2 rainy winters that preceded this one. This is about as bad as it gets in terms of fire weather, forecasters said. The winter and late fall tend to spawn catastrophic fires in California. The winter and late fall. Really? I didn't know that. I thought these fires always broke out in the summer because that's what I remember them happening. But the winter and late fall tend to spawn catastrophic fires in California. Really? In periods without significant precipitation, as has been the case this winter, the vegetation becomes extremely parched, and cooler weather in California coincides with the Santa Ana winds, the strong and dry gusts that blow west from Nevada and Utah to Southern California, and are linked to the region's most devastating fires. The deadliest and most destructive fire in California's history, which destroyed the Northern California town of Paradise, broke out in mid-November 2018. So the biggest fire in California history was not that long ago. Only about 6 years ago, man. Sorry, 7 years ago. Coming up. Fires expected to keep growing on Wednesday. Unfortunately, yes. Firefighters were limited to battling the blazes from the ground on Tuesday night as aircraft were grounded because of the strong wind. The winds were expected to peak between 10 p.m. local time Tuesday and 5 a.m. on Wednesday, conditions that could cause the fires to balloon rapidly. Though the winds are expected to begin diminishing on Wednesday afternoon, they will be moderately strong in Los Angeles and Ventura counties through Thursday, according to weather officials. Fire officials are asking people who have not evacuated but live near the fires to stay alert, as the blazes are likely to move fast and unpredictably in the coming hours. And they are asking everyone in Southern California to beware of new fires. I have to ask you, Acti, what makes more sense, living in Louisiana or California?
Do you have fires in Louisiana?
No.
I guess California.
California still makes more sense.
Sorry.
That's bad.
But it depends on where am I living in both states. You know?
Okay, all right, Louisiana, it's hot as hell, but we got good food, but we don't have no beach, and there's no weed. Like, there's no legal weed.
I mean, I'm not that obsessed with weed, and I'm sure if you wanted to find it in Louisiana, you can.
Of course.
But beach is a big thing for me, so yeah, California in that sense. I think it's more closer to the nature that I am used to.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah, fires, devastation, earthquakes. Yeah, it sounds just like Marmaris, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like paradise. Yeah. Sounds like paradise. Wait, paradise got burned down in California. What the irony? The city named Paradise in California was completely destroyed.
That's sad.
By a fire. God couldn't write a funnier story. Like, there's no better punchline. Continuing here. So, Department of Justice. Oh, sorry. I was ranting earlier about the NIMBYs. I was ranting earlier how in America, like, rent keeps going up and people continue to, for the team that wants to continue to raise our wages because they have no intention at all on raking in the billions that these mega corporations earn by buying all these empty apartment buildings and vacant homes. Nobody wants to actually challenge the powerful or challenge capitalism, but there is one man standing alone on top of a hill declaring his war, his jihad, his mission in life to battle the powerful renting lobby in America. And that man is Joe Biden. That man is Jack. That man is Mr. The man.
I'm sorry. I can't help but remember the time he got lost in the jungle.
He walked in the Amazon forest and said, "Where am I, Jack?" Anyway, so I'm talking about this story here. Department of Justice files lawsuit against 6 of nation's largest landlords for price fixing. This story was published on Tuesday, January 7th, and you can find this on abc13.com. So, this is the Biden Justice Department. Do you think, I really want to ask the people, do you think Trump is going to continue this lawsuit? Do you really think Trump is going to allow this lawsuit, this litigation, this battle against the powerful land-owning lobby to go through? Or do you think he's going to cancel that and rather invest his enemies who investigated him for collusion with Russia, for hiding documents in his basement, for even trying to impeach him? Do you think that's going to happen? This is a beautiful thing. This is a good thing that we should all be proud of. But let's find out more in the story right here. I'm going to hold on. Let me make the text a bit bigger. So it says here, rents are rising, and in some cases, the Justice Department says it may be illegal. I'm not tripping, though, because my rent is only about $400. $400 to live in downtown Budapest. My rent is $400, baby, to live in downtown Budapest. America could never, your favorites could never. On Tuesday, the DOJ filed an antitrust lawsuit against 6 major landlords. It accuses them of working to get rent prices high. Those landlords include Houston-based Camden, Greystar, Cushman & Wakefield, LivCorp, Cortland, and Willow Bridge. Together, they control 1.3 million apartment units. I'm going to put this in the chat, man, because this is major, major news. Y'all need to know this, man. This is what class warfare looks like. This is what class warfare looks like. Hold on, let's take that out. Let's put this back in chat here. Hold on. All right, good. So, it's not just cooperating. It's collaborating. It's conspiring. Legal analyst Brian Weiss said. In an alleged April 2022 conversation between rival companies, a LivCorp executive is quoted as saying, prices are for almost everything are up 20%. Therefore, unless there is a good reason not to, should we be increasing rates on rentable items by 20%? They're literally colluding. That's cartel business, baby. A Camden executive allegedly responds, "I like your thinking." It's just a shame. It's an absolute shame, Christina Stoneman, CEO of the Houston Land Bank, said. Stoneman said many of the people she's working to get into homes have struggled with increasing rent prices. It must be discouraging to know that people are just, unfortunately, probably taking advantage of them and the situation that they're in, she said. According to the lawsuit, one property manager declined to share information with another company, citing price-fixing concerns. When a Greystar property manager recounted this to a Cushman & Wakefield property manager, the Cushman & Wakefield manager allegedly replied, price-fixing laws, huh? That's a new one. Well, I'm happy to keep sharing, so ask away. In August, the DOJ sued Texas-based company RealPage over its YieldStar software, which pulls non-public rent data to help landlords set prices. The landlords named in Tuesday's amended lawsuit are accused of using the software. They are able to universally create an artificially high market for rents, even in the most desperate of times, Weiss said. The DOJ has already proposed a settlement with Cortland, which controls 12 apartment complexes in the Houston area. Under the terms of that settlement, Cortland would have to stop sharing and receiving non-public data with rival companies and would have to stop using the RealPage software. Cortland is pleased to announce that the U.S. Department of Justice filed a proposed settlement that would resolve the Antitrust Division's civil investigation into Cortland-related antitrust violations in the multifamily housing industry, the company wrote in a statement. Greystar, which owns over 160 apartment complexes in the Houston area, released this statement. We are disappointed that the DOJ added us and other operators to their lawsuit against RealPage. Greystar has and will conduct its business with the utmost integrity. At no time did Greystar engage in any anti-competitive practices. We will vigorously defend ourselves in this lawsuit. None of the other landlords named in the lawsuit returned Eyewitness News requests for comment. So this is just corrupt behavior, man, by these companies collaborating together to keep profits high. This is why when people say capitalism is the best system because it allows for the free market and companies will compete to lower prices because people want to have more customers, that's not true. That's not true because people in an industry like renting could say, hey guys, let's work together so we all make money. And this goes on for a long enough period of time until the Justice Department has to come in and basically say, hey guys, can you please stop collaborating? And maybe could you please pay some restitution, which is like pennies on the dollar? So the US government is gonna ask for money, hundreds of millions of dollars from these companies that sucked it up from the blood of the people, then maybe disperse it in small payments to the people. Not even getting a fraction back of the money they were cheated out of. Even worse, it might just go into the federal government's coffers. Does this sound like an actually good system? Does that sound like a fair and equal system? Does that sound like a system that gives the best economic outcomes for everybody? No, it does not. No, it does not. The rents are getting higher in America. I feel bad for all of y'all because as I'm living here in Budapest, I'm gonna keep flexing on y'all. $400 for rent and it keeps on going down because the US dollar keeps on appreciating against this goddamn Hungarian forint. So we balling out of control, baby. We balling out of control. I'm broke. But still, generally here in Budapest, this is not the case. Some of my students that I talked with are property developers here. And the majority of housing here in Budapest is owned by private individuals and families. The guy I pay my rent to, some nerd who works in agriculture. PhD guy too. Cool guy, by the way. Cool guy. I like him. I don't pay my rent to BlackRock. Thank God I don't. I don't pay my rent to Morgan Stanley. I could call my landlord. I'm sorry, I was ranting here. But Acti, is rent rising in Turkey?
Of course.
Why getting higher? Do you know? Why do you think so?
Because of inflation. Basically, rent is now higher than minimum wage. So there's no way people can afford rent. Most of the time, they have to share it with other people. Like a husband,
like a big, sexy husband. Yeah, who could pay that thing. Because it still gets cheaper in Turkey. Even though rent is going up in Turkey, you can still get a flat in Istanbul, I would say $700.
Yeah.
$700 gets you a nice flat. A nice one, too, I would say.
Something like this.
Something like this. Something like a 1-1. 1-1 where you can come. Anyway, Anyway, back to what I was talking about here. Army doctor pleads guilty to sexually assaulting dozens of patients. The doctor, Major Michael Stockin, was accused of sexual misconduct by 41 male patients in one of the largest such cases in military history. What is up with all this sexual assault going on, man? Everybody getting real freaky out here.
It's just coming out. It's been happening for years. It's just coming out.
It's just now coming out?
Yeah. Okay.
That the guys in the Army were getting sexually assaulted?
Yeah.
I felt like I got sexually assaulted when I applied to join the military because the lady made an unnecessary comment. Because you have to take off your pants and cough and they grab your testicles.
Yeah.
The woman made this unnecessary comment to me, which I felt like I was being sexualized. She said, "You have very large testicles." She said that to me. I don't know why she said that to me. That was just very wrong. I felt very weird and uncomfortable in that room.
I don't think that's true.
Wow, so you don't think I have large nuts? So now I'm being desexualized.
What?
And I'm
you
emasculated.
Want to have large nuts?
I mean,
Does that make a difference?
every man just wants to have just large everything. Damn, baby, you got the biggest pinky toe I've ever seen. Men just like to feel like that.
I think, the thing is, your nuts are proportionate with your dick. So it doesn't stick out as, oh, they're huge. Okay.
Well, a doctor disagreed. A woman who grabs nuts for profession said I had a big nuts.
Wow.
So,
now, why would you say that?
She did say
it's not related
it was unrelating. I'll never forget that. But now you had to break my heart.
Why do you care if you have big nuts?
I don't know. Everybody wants to have big nuts. You just want to get told everything's big.
Okay.
Anyway, off to the sexual abuse happening in the Army, man. For all my Army bros, man, are y'all really getting grabbed like this by Major Michael Stocking? Major Michael Stocking grabbing cocking. So this article was written by Kate Selig, published on January 7th, 2025. So it says here, an Army doctor pleaded guilty in a military court on Tuesday to sexually assaulting dozens of his patients, bringing one of the military's largest sex abuse cases closer to resolution. The doctor, Major Michael Stocking, who is currently serving at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State, was accused of touching or viewing the genitals of 41 of his male patients under the guise of medical treatment between 2019 and 2022, according to court documents. At a hearing on Tuesday, he admitted to 36 counts of abusive sexual contact and 5 of indecent viewing, according to Michelle McCaskill, a spokeswoman for the U.S. Army Office of Special Trial Counsel. The plea agreement is subject to acceptance by a military judge who will determine whether there is enough evidence to support the plea during hearings this week. If the plea is accepted, Major Stocking faces up to 13 and a half years in prison, according to Ryan Gilds, a lawyer representing some of the victims. Mr. Gilds said the plea was an important step in the pursuit of justice. He said the victims had chosen to come forward despite the guilt and shame that often accompanying being a victim of sexual assault, especially for male soldiers in our Army. Sexual assault by men against men is a widespread problem in the U.S. military, with many cases going unreported as a result of stigma and fear of retaliation. According to a government report on sexual assaults of male service personnel, women in the military face significantly higher rates of sexual assault than men. However, because men vastly outnumber women in the ranks, the total number of men and female victims in recent years has been roughly equal. That's crazy. So even though women face more sexual assault, and I'm pretty sure a lot of sexual assault happens against women in the military, the number of guys getting sexually assaulted is pretty damn high too. That's what I'm saying. We need to demilitarize our Army. Like I said, last week about the terrorist, unfortunately, who rammed his car down New Orleans, and the guy who blew himself up in front of the Trump International, like in Las Vegas or something. Both of those guys were military guys, and I wouldn't put it past them if they had some pent up or repressed story of sexual abuse that happened in their lives. I'm not saying that's enough to cause somebody to do something heinous, nor would it justify it. But, going through the military, going through life, there's a lot of people walking around with those types of stories on them, in their souls, in their minds, that they think about all the time. You get what I'm saying? A lot of trauma going on with a lot of people. You never know what somebody's going through. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I was never sexually abused. Nobody ever told me, nobody thought I was a cute enough kid to molest. Maybe that's why I have some self-esteem issues. Ain't that something? How different would I be if I was molested? How different would I be?
I think you wouldn't be as comfortable with your sexuality, or it could also
Oh,
project it as like aggressiveness in bed.
Really? I'd be like choking you and stuff?
Maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe it could be the opposite also. Maybe you would be like too
Too
afraid.
Too afraid to choke you.
No. Not about choking. Like you would be closed off.
Okay. Anyway, Mr. Guild said the plea was an important step in the pursuit of justice. He said that the victim had chosen to come forward despite the guilt and shame that often accompanies being a victim of sexual assault, especially for a male soldier in our Army. We already read that. Major Stockton has served as an anesthesiologist in the Army since 2013. He was assigned in July of 2019 to Joint Base Lewis McChord, where he worked at Madigan Army Medical Center. In February 2022, the Army started an investigation into a number of allegations of sexual misconduct against Major Stockton, leading to his suspension from patient care. According to McCaskill, he continued to work at the medical center and was reassigned to administrative duties. In August 2023, Major Stockton was formally charged in a case involving 23 victims. By the start of the following following year, the number of victims involved in the case had risen to 41, McCaskill said. A lawyer for Major Stockton did not respond to our request for comment. In addition to the criminal case, more than 20 administrative complaints have been filed on behalf of victims against the Army and the Department of Defense, accusing the military of failing to adequately protect patients who were under Major Stockton's care. Christine Dunn, a lawyer representing the victims in the complaint, said that many of their lives had been derailed by the abuse, leaving them with intense anxiety. Some now avoid medical attention, fearing another assault, she said. The reason they sought treatment in the first place was because they were suffering from chronic, debilitating pain and needed medical care, she said. It's heartbreaking that they are now declining medical attention because of what happened to them. One of the complaints stated, "I struggle daily with feelings of shame, worthlessness, and anger. The military was my life and my identity. Now I feel like a stranger to myself and to those I love." Bryce Dubé, an Army spokesman, said in a statement that the Army would not comment on the pending complaints because they were the subject of potential litigation. I hope all these people, these men, they get fully compensated for the trauma they went through. And I think more men need to speak out against, sexual assault that men do to other men, and also speak out if they've been abused, man. Because, as men, we hold it in. We think, we're supposed to be able to defend ourselves against sexual assault or that type of abuse. And when it does happen to us, we feel like, how did we let that happen to us? We feel shame if that happens. Once again, I haven't been sexually assaulted in my life, thank God. But I also know I have parents who protected me from that, right? Because there are so many people walking around that happened to, man. So many guys I knew, lost their virginity because their cousin jumped on them or an older woman took advantage of them and stuff like that, right? Teachers hollering at students and having sex with students, stuff like that too. I was lucky and fortunate to make it and have a clean slate, if that makes sense, right? And so I got to end it here because I actually got class coming up, and I won't be able to do all the stories that I have. I had a few others I wanted to do, but we got at least 3 done, so alhamdulillah. And y'all be easy out there. This has been a short reading the news. Traveling to America tomorrow, baby. Going to Louisiana. I don't know whether to cry or to be happy. But it's going to be Actie's time, Louisiana, too. First time. Are you excited?
Very.
You're very excited?
Yeah.
You're going to be so disappointed. I'm gonna laugh so much. You're like, this is it? I took you to the beach in the mountains. I fed you good Turkish food. And all you feed me is Taco Bell? And show me a bayou? What?
No. I care less about the place and more about the experience. So I'm sure it will be fun.
Okay. All right, so wish us luck, wish us a good flight. We're going to do a live stream tomorrow before I leave, too. So y'all look out for that. We're also going to be reading our book, Black Men, White Women, Illicit Sex in the 19th Century South by Martha Hodes. Look out for that as well. And y'all